Hi my love, you're welcome back. So this video will be more detailed. If you want to learn how to make your leggings, this video is for you. All you need to do is to mark at your starting point line, and you go ahead to take your vertical measurement and horizontal measurement. So the first line that I took was my hip measurement, and I'm going to take my crotch measurement. And the next line I took was my new measurement. So I've made a video on how to take your measurement. So there will be a picture on the screen that will display it. Just look in that picture, and that will put you through on how to get this measurement if you don't know how. So I'm going to go ahead to take my hip measurement, and I'm just going to remove 1 inch. So go ahead and do the same, and I'm going to still mark the same thing to the crotch depth. So I'm going to also remove 1 inch from that, and I'm going to go ahead to mark 1.5 from this end. Why am I doing this is because this fabric is a lycra material. It's quite stretchy, and mostly leggings is used for all the stretchy fabric. So same with the waistline, what I did was just to take off like 1.5 from that end, and my waist measurement, I also did my waist measurement minus 1 inch from that line, and that's what we have there. So I'm going to connect this from this to my crotch extension and not from that hip line. Now I took the measurement from the hip line from that line also where the crotch starts, but where I cupped is from the crotch extension. So from this, I'm going to use that 1/2 inch that I left. I'm going to use there to connect it, so we have like a sloopy end from that end. This is like we joining to the band, joining to anything. So we need like a crotch, which at the end I end up not using it. So this is optional on that part. So the next thing we're going to do is to take a new measurement. I went in by 1 inch from that end, and I'm going to connect like so. So just go ahead and do the same. I'm still going to go ahead to take my new measurement, and I'm going to remove 1 inch from my new circumference, divide by 2, and I'm going to remove 1 inch and I connect like so. I'm still going to do the same thing that I did to my near to my ankle line. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this to my ankle line, and this time around I'm going to take off 1.5 from that end, and I'm going to connect that from my knee to my full length of my pants. So the next thing I'm going to do is to take my ankle measurement, and this time around I'm just going to go ahead to take off 1 inch like I did earlier. Like I said, this fabric is stretchy and I'm going to connect. So if your paper is not enough, because my paper is not enough, I added a bit of extension to that. So this is what I have for my front pattern. I'm going to use this front pattern to cut for my back pattern. But first of all, let's cut this out. So the next thing I'm going to do is from that hip measurement, I'm going to take the distance from my waist to my hip, and whatever I have there I'm going to mark like so, and afterwards I'm going to connect the lines like you see me doing. So the next thing we're going to do, this is going to be slash. So this part is to be slash in order to cut my back pattern. But first of all, let's create my band. So in this, I'm going to be using 3-inch band. So what I did was just to mark in 3 inch from my waist down. So I'm going to use that as my band. So this is my band. But I'm going to cut this after we're done with cutting the pattern. So I'm just going to fold this like so in order to cut my front piece. So go ahead and do the same. You can just cut it out or you can still do the same. So this is the fabric I'm working with. This is 3 years. I use it in creating a 2-piece for my clients. So I don't really know how much I used, but I think you can't even use more than 1.5 in making these leggings. So this fabric is quite stretchy. So what I did was just to lay this flat like you see me doing, and I made 1/2 inch allowance to joining it to the band, and this is what we have. So now I'm going to go ahead, I've set it aside, and I'm going to head to open that part like so. I place a fresh pattern paper to that, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take in those pattern paper like you see me doing, And the next thing I did, I went in by 2 inch on that part. So depending on how big your butt is, you can go in with 2.5 or 3 inch or even 1.5, depending on how your butt is. So for me, I'm going in with 2 inches and I'm just going to connect those lines like you see me doing. So the next thing I'm going to do is to mark those lines like so. And for my crouch extension, I'm going to go in by 1 inches on that length. Why? Because this fabric is quite stretchy and I'm going to connect those lines like so. This is meant to be connected directly to your nail, but because I didn't really waste my pattern like so, I just connected it like so. But I'm going to correct this on my fabric, so make sure that your pattern is enough to contain that part. And I'm going to just connect those lines like you see me doing. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out like so. So this is, like I said, I'm going to just raise that part and I'm going to slash because we went in with 1/2 inch like usual on that part. And this is what I have for my front, my back pattern. I'm going to go ahead to push that front inside and I'm going to go ahead to cut like so. So this is what we have. I've also gone ahead to close my band where the band is, and I've set this and pinned down. I'm going to go ahead to cut this, also giving 1/2 inch on that waist part. And this is the extension that I told you is not even up to 3 inches. And I'm going to go ahead to cut like so. So go ahead and do the same if you're following along. And this is what I have, guys. I'm going to go ahead to take this and join everything together. So I'm going to show you guys how I create that band. So I've set this aside and this is how we create the band. I'll go ahead to cut this out. So I'm just going to go ahead to cut this out. This is the band. So that was why I have like 1/2 inch to join to the band. So what I did in order to create that band is to go ahead to mark 1/2 inch on both sides of this pattern. But for this part, the side, I'm going to the middle point, which is the point, I'm going to slant like so. And from that side, I'm going to go inward like 1/2 inch on both sides. And I'm going to cut like you see me doing. So now fold my fabric. I'm going to have both the lining and because I'm going to cut to have both the lining and the main fabric front and back facing each other. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to place this part like so and I'm going to pin down and I'm going to cut. So we have both the back and front with the lining together. So I've done a video like the last video I posted is quite detailed. You can go ahead to check that video, the making of the handkerchief skirt. I did something similar to that in that video, so go check it out. I'm going to also put the link on this video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead to stitch this part like so, and I'm also going to do the same. And this is after I'm done joining my pant together. I've also made a video on how to sew a pant trouser, so I'm also going to drop the link below on how you can create your pant trouser. So this is quite easy, just to join the crotch from your front part and also to the back, and also join sideways the back and the front together. It's as simple as that. But if you don't understand, just click the link on my bio to watch a video on how to create your pant trouser. So what I did was just to join these two together like so, and I also use a pin to hold this part like so. So go ahead and do the same, and afterwards I'm going to divide it as well to get the midpoint. I'm going to also go ahead to notch those midpoints. So just go ahead and do the same, notch your midpoint, because we're going to use this midpoint to connect to the side, not to the side, to this center, front and back of my pants like you see me doing in this video. So you go ahead to connect like so, and I also do the same thing to the side. I'm going to join those parts that was joined. I'm going to join it to the side like so, and I'll also do the same thing to the other side. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go ahead to sew around, but because we've removed like half inch on this part. It's going to have like a lapse, so you have to stretch to make it equal, and you're going to join round and sew the down part. And that's just it for this video, guys. This is what I have for my pants. And if you enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up and please subscribe to my channel. And if there's any video you want me to recreate in my channel, please leave a comment below, and I will see you guys in my